In the context of globalization and global interconnection of today, tourism plays the role of the key instrument for packaging and consuming culture. One of the characteristic themes of contemporary luxury tourism is the quest for authenticity or searching for the Orient that remains unspoiled by the fast rhythms of Western modernity. Such an aspect of luxury tourism finds representation in Inside Guizhou Tour with Global Heritage Fund organized by Wild China Company. Tourism does not only offer a set of destinations to its customers, it sells a journey into authenticity. In accordance with the thesis of this analysis, this marketing story of Inside Guizhou Tour represents a performance of authenticity, which is influenced by tourist gaze, um, imperialist nostalgia, and ethnographic discourse presenting the people of ethnic minority as a timeless community of people interesting to watch and study. As one of the starting points of discussion on this topic, the theory offered by Dean McCannell should be mentioned. McCannell claims that tourism consists of the stage front region that substitute backstage life. Another valuable contribution is understanding the nature of authenticity made by Annette Goblet lies in her statement according to which authenticity is not an objective attribute but a part of the tourist discourse. Thus, it's always a claim rather than the truth. Following Annette Goblet's ideas, Edward Vernon distinguishes several aspects of authenticity, including the originals related to historical sources and sincerity, as well as genuineness and the personality meaningful. With regard to characteristics of the tool proposed by Wild China, it could be noted that its primary focus lying in two latter aspects of authenticity, while question of historical accuracy and the changes that take place in the ethnic minority culture and deliberately ignored by the marketers. Tool languages fails to inform potential visitors about the fact that Miao, Buyi, and Dong people currently live in a modern Chinese state, like using cell phones and going to school prescribed by the state. Instead, ethnic minorities people are immobilized in an imaginary ethnographic present. Another important notion for the analysis of the tool in question suggested by John Irving is the tourist gaze. In his article, Irving argues that tourism involves some kinds of looks which are socially constructed and ordered by society. The gaze creates differences and produce scenes that are worth looking and seeing. As could be noticed, after analyzing the itinerary offered by Wild China Company, this principle operates in the case under consideration as well. For instance, day two offers an opportunity to attend the Buyi Chai Bai singing festival, gathering thousands of villagers. Day three proposes taking part in the Lucian Festival, which includes dancing, cockfighting, and the water buffalo fights. And for day four, offers the fish banquet with traditional songs and dances. Day six, seeing the gong customs of the Bi Sha Miao. Thus, each of the meeting offered by the guide turns out to be a spectacular demonstrate of cultural differences performed by the sake of the tourist. Local people get the status of performers and their festivals, traditions, and ritual transformed into exhibits. It, it corresponds to the ideas formulated by Irving in the context of romantic gaze, the kinds of gaze which seeks solitude, authentic, and untouched things, reached in the case thanks to small group visits and insiders' experience. Access to the village elders, evening spent with a village leader, and even special dinner at the Dom Chao repeated empathies the use of the term private. What takes place in the performance of the staged intimacy, which, however, stays in the front region from government's perspective. Like the works of Heather Andrews and Jack Little discussing the performance of tourism are also applicable to the case in discussion. According to the authors, touristic bodies are and spaces are governed by choreography, which means that they become performative. Thus, while China Guide acting as a passionate native storyteller performs a function of the choreographer translating all the specific of the ethnic minority cultures into the language understandable for tourists. The notion of stage authenticity offered by McCannell allows interpreting the phenomenon discussed in the paper in another way. McCannell suggests that in an industrial society, tourists try to see reality in the cultural, and tourism creates an artificial staged environment. The offer to visit unspoiled village and learn from the masters of intangible cultural heritage presents by while China becomes the staging of such experience. From the anthropological viewpoint, the front region of the tour turns out to be similar to the back region, and what tourists get from attending workshops on the Asian paper making and indigo dyeing in is a commodified presentation of real life. However, authenticity becomes a socially constructed notion, satisfying tourists' needs for reality. It could be illustrated by the results for Edward Burnham's research into heritage sites, showing that in its attempts to preserve culture, tourism destroys it by following the traditionals and preventing natural developments of culture. Promoting the idea of Guizhou village being living in museums, the tool prevents development of ethnic minorities. Finally, the tool of Inside Guizhou could be interpreted from the perspective of the theory of imperialist nostalgia offered by Renato uh, Rosado. Sorry about it. Being the part of the campaign of imperialist nostalgia, this tour invites tourists to watch the dying life, which allows them experience regret for the traditional China. However, it allows tourists to join the benefits of model development, thus creating a power relationship between them and ethnic minorities, making tourists feel sorry for them and ignore the reason why they have to be so. The partnership of the tool with the Global Heritage Fund indicates that there also operates a civilized anthropological element of the colonial gaze, which presuppose that the ethnic minority cultures need to be preserved by outsiders. That is, educated people have better understanding of their values than native people do. However, this process itself is actually destroying cultural traditions. It corresponds to Barnes' theory of nostalgia, which states that tourists seek an encounter with a culture being pre-modern, outside of history and being the window into its past life. Indeed, in its marketing efforts, while China focused on the past and the traditions, customers, and heritage of the local people, forgetting that they also have problems to solve and are currently facing assimilation pressure from Han Chinese people, as well as tourism development and marginalization. A racialized gaze also works in this market. People of the target local communities in Guizhou are minorities in the Han-dominated state. For tourists coming from West, these people are the object of double exotism since they are both Chinese and non-Han. Their particular clothing, special beliefs, and unusual customs making them an interesting subject for studying and observation for white tourists. While China Inside Guizhou tool is a product which could be qualified as sophisticated and ideologically loaded. In its marketing strategy, while China refrains from the problem of authenticity, it does not consider the authentic character of Miao, Bui, and Dong cultures, but only present their narrative aimed at attracting tourists. Thus, the tool is based on the tourist gaze from Uri, the performance of staged intimacy from Andrews and Little, nostalgia for the um, etho- ethnographic present from Goblins and Burner, and the desire to explore and process living cultures from Smith. All this series indicates the persistence of colonial gaze and knowledge and consumption strategies, although this tool cooperates with the Global Heritage Fund and promises economy benefits for local people. The proposal of the marketing campaign itself lies in transforming ethnic minority villagers into the background of the story told for the tourist. Its main characters. This very issue is studied in the field of tourism. And I think that's all. Thank you for listening.